I always like coming up with a sermon that will irritate my wife. And this one does that because I'm going to say how she is like Jesus. And that irritates her. And you know, I believe it. I mean, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. I've lived with this woman 43 years, and I know her better than anyone else does, and I still say, she is like Jesus. I, on the other hand, am not, as this story will show. Here's the story. My wife and I both get out on the road most mornings of each week. She is a runner. Because of my knees, I am a walker, not a runner, but I'm a fast and dedicated walker. So this one time, she was out running on the road, and I was out walking a couple of miles away from where she was. And one of our neighbors up there, back at that time, was lousy at controlling his dog. This dog kept getting out of the fenced-in yard, and this dog was getting more and more aggressive. And everybody could see this. So this one day, this big dog bit my wife Paula, and it was a bad bite. It drew blood. Now, when she told me about it, I became enraged. I was way past angry. I was full of rage. I truly saw red. She's not a big person. This was a big dog, and she is my heart. Now, this dog was running loose. Nobody could catch it, and I'm not proud to tell you this, but I really wanted to get a big rock, and I wanted to kill that dog. And I wanted to go and pick a fight with the dog's owner. I am not exaggerating. Well, I was shocked at the visceral nature of my rage. It was like an outside power grabbed me by the throat, and it wasn't pretty at all. Now, I realize that anger serves a function in the development of human experience. It comes from our evolutionary past, and it seems to have to do with our survival needs. But I was shocked by the grip this rage had on me. I really felt out of control. Now, later on, when I could actually think, I was actually reminded of all these stories in the New Testament about Jesus casting out demons. Whatever you make of the historical accuracy of these narratives, they certainly have symbolic power. We all have our demons. Whether or not all these stories are true literally, they are true symbolically and psychologically. So as that day went on, Paula decided to forgive this dog and its owner. This man, the owner, actually came to our house to apologize. I was not there, fortunately. Paula said it was a deep and a heartfelt apology. The man accepted full responsibility. He said he would understand if she called animal control and had the dog taken away. Paula, however, knew that this man's kids loved that dog. And more than that, she knew that this family happened to be in a lot of turmoil at that time. She didn't want these children's dog taken away from them. The only thing she decided was she wanted to know if the dog's rabies shots were up to date. And they were. So my wife decided to let it go. Now that's what the word forgive means. It literally means to let go. And then later when she told me about it, it was like my demon was driven out. The rage was gone, and I was back in my right mind. My wife's love and forgiveness had the power to cast my demon out. Kind of like Jesus. And it irritates her that I would say this in public, which is a bonus in my view. Now, this is really just a small example. Here's a much bigger example. A clinical psychologist named Jack Kornfield wrote about this in one of his books. A 14-year-old boy wanted to join an urban street gang. He had to prove himself, so he shot and killed an innocent teenager. He was caught. He was put on trial, and he was convicted in court. The mother of the victim attended every single day of that trial. After the verdict was announced, the mother of the victim stood up, and she looked straight at her son's killer, and she said, "I'm going to kill you." Now, the convicted 14-year-old started serving his sentence in juvenile detention. After 6 months, this mother started to visit her son's killer. The sentence was only 3 years. Before the killing, this young man had been living on the streets. No family. I guess that's why he wanted to join the gang. The mother was the only one to visit this young man in jail. They talked. And as she left, she gave him a little money for cigarettes. She started to visit him a little more often. She brought food and small gifts. His release date drew near. She asked him what he was going to do when he got out. He didn't seem sure. She offered to set him up with a job in a company owned by a friend of hers. She asked him where he was going to live when he got out. He had nowhere to go, no family. So she offered to let him stay a while in a spare room in her house. And he lived there for 8 months, eating her food, working at the job she had found for him. And then one night, she called him into the living room. And he came in, they sat down, she stared at him, and she said this, "You remember that day in court when I said I was going to kill you?" He said, "I'll never forget that." She said, "I did not want the boy who could kill my son for no reason to continue to live on this earth. I wanted him to die. And that's why I started to visit you. And it's why I started bringing you things. That's why I got you the job and I let you live here. That's how I decided to change you. That old boy, he's gone. So now I want to ask you, since my son is gone and his killer is gone, I want to ask you if you will stay here. I've got the room, and if you'd let me, I would like to adopt you." And that woman, who must have been Jesus in disguise, became the mother that boy never had. Seems to me that some demons were cast out of that boy. And maybe some demons were cast out of the woman herself. It's the power of compassion. It's the power of forgiveness. It's the power of Jesus. And it's my wife's superpower, although it irritates the heck out of her that I say this. Oh well. Amen.